This isn't just another day in court. What you're about to watch is a probation hearing with major consequences. Think 3 strikes and you're out. But this guy's asking for a 4th. Will the judge buy it? Let's find out.
Be here about 5 minutes. She said 20 minutes, about 15 minutes ago, so.
All right. We're going to go on the record. Court is calling, and Mr. Jimenez, if you need to continue to speak to your client, if you all can move towards the end, and the deputy will move in. All right, court is calling 2018 CR 0165, State of Texas versus Roland C. Lopez. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Jason Jorgens for the state.
Defense?
Kurt Hockey for the defense.
All right, and are you Mr. Lopez?
Yes, ma'am, Judge, I am.
All right, so where we left off on Friday, I believe, we were on direct examination with Mr. Lopez. Is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
All right, you may continue.
Okay. And I believe we left off last time talking about his employment.
Yeah. All right, court is calling 2018 CR 0165, State of Texas versus Roland C. Lopez. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Jason Jorgens for the state.
Defense?
Kurt Hockey for the defense.
All right, and are you Mr. Lopez?
Yes, ma'am, Judge, I am.
All right, so where we left off on Friday, I believe, we were on direct examination with Mr. Lopez. Is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
All right, you may continue.
Okay. And I believe we left off last time talking about his employment.
All right, you may proceed.
Okay. I thought to bring something up, but I guess I didn't. Okay. Now, on the 17th day of November 2022, did you have a change of address?
No, sir, I didn't.
All right, I'm gonna need you to speak up.
No, sir, I didn't.
Did you have a change of job?
No, sir, I didn't.
Had you been arrested and not reported it to probation?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. On September 8, 2021, did the probation office do a field visit on your house?
Yes, it did. I was at work.
Okay. Actually,
Maybe at the date, if I'm not mistaken, that one.
All right, so everyone, could you please whisper? And then when you come before the court, if you could please talk so that the court can hear.
all right. So raise your voice, okay?
Yes.
September 8th, you met them at the gate?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And it was a routine field visit, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And then on September 14th, did they come to your house?
Yes, sir, I believe they did.
Okay. And everything was fine on September 14th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On September 16th, did they come to your house?
Yes, sir, they did.
No. Oh, well, you want to review to refresh your memory?
Yes, please.
Okay. Don't worry about that. Okay. Review this and you read this and see what we're talking about here?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so on September 16th, did they actually come to your house?
No, sir, they didn't.
Okay. When was the next time they came?
The 21st.
Okay. September 16th, they actually did not come to your house?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, pass the witness judges.
All right, state.
Mr. Lucas, you signed conditions of probation, right, when you were placed on community supervision?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you understood them, right?
That's what it is, they read it to me.
I'm sorry, so you did understand them?
Yes.
And obviously you knew the importance of following them, right? Because otherwise the judge could potentially revoke.
Quick legal insight. When someone is on community supervision and the state files a motion to revoke, it means they believe the person violated their probation terms. This is Lopez's third motion. That's not just a red flag, it's a red alert.
Yes, sir.
And I believe we're here now on a third motion to revoke community supervision, is that right?
I believe so, sir. Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about this one. So you talked with your attorney about, I guess your address hasn't changed and your employment hasn't changed in the time frame that we're talking about for this motion to revoke, right?
Yes, sir, it has.
Right. And were you living by yourself or with your mother at this time?
My mother.
Okay. Does anyone else live in that house with you?
Yes, sir, boyfriend.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, and my common law.
Okay. Anyone else besides those two?
No.
Okay, so just your mom, her boyfriend, and then your common law spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you talked about no change in your address or occupation, but I mean, you understand one of the conditions of probation is that you have to provide proof of that, right? That you're still living at that place and that you're still working at that establishment.
Objection, that's a mischaracterization of probation condition number 4.
Overrule. You can answer the question.
Yes, via provided my email of the officer because everything was via Zoom.
And when was the last time that you provided that proof for your current residence before November in 2022?
I would believe that was when Miss Sarah Thatcher, at the time, roughly I would say maybe in June.
Okay, so right around June.
Mm-hmm.
And how about your proof of employment? When was the last time that you provided that before November 2022?
Same time.
Okay. And have you been asked to provide it at any time subsequent to that?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Stendos asked her for her email so I could go ahead and such documents be sent over to her plus like UA receipts.
Blaming the probation officer for not giving him an email. Is that legit? Or just dodging responsibility? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who's really at fault here?
Okay, and when did you send those?
I never received the email.
When did you ask for them?
That same time, I think it was in August and back again in November.
Okay, so Mrs. Cisneros just kind of fell down on the job and didn't provide you the means to provide your address or employment.
I would believe so, sir.
No, we've got an allegation from June 30th of 2022. So at that time, it was Sarah Thatcher that was your supervision officer, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that was for an allegation of failing to submit to a drug testing. Did you submit a drug test on that day?
No, sir. I was told prior to the same time this year, I would do a 3-month UA and it would end in May, and I was completed successfully. And Ms. Thatcher told me I had no longer to take UAs and the stipulations were completed or satisfied by the court.
She told you that you no longer have to do UAs for the rest of your probation.
She just told me no more UAs. Exactly just like that.
Okay, and I guess, did you take that also to mean that you didn't have to report to probation?
No, sir.
Okay, well, you heard the testimony of Ms. Abrams that you didn't report at all for the month of June 2022. Right?
Objection, this is not an allegation in the motion to review.
Overrule.
You remember that?
No, I had talked to Ms. Sarah Thatcher and they said they were giving me another PO that's supposedly she didn't work with the probation office no more.
Okay. So then, because you were waiting for another PO, you ended up not doing anything in June. Is that fair to say?
No, they told me that they were gonna be counting that as a, what do you call that, a visit.
They were counting what?
Me calling in, letting them know,
And when
prior to them, during June.
And then, so we've also got an allegation of failing to submit from November 17th of 2022. And that's kind of the day where I guess a lot of these allegations are coming from. This one, I think we heard on examination with Ms. Abrams that I guess you had been directed to submit, but you said that you had work or something and you couldn't get off. Is that how it went out?
No, sir. She had asked me about my address and everything else, and I told her, like, please send me the email and everything. And she goes, well, can you go submit to a UA right now? I said, no, ma'am. Usually with my work, the way probation for the past 4 years have been going, I said, my work doesn't really give me the opportunity now. They want advancement to be able to go do this. And you have to give me at least a day and a half, so they will give me that whole day off so I can complete it. And then I asked her, do I still have within a month, like regular probation usually does, to be able to do it? And when I get a day off, I will go ahead and take care of it. She said yes.
Okay, so you weren't able to submit that day because of your work conflict, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did she tell you to go the next day?
No, I think she might say, well, what about tomorrow? And I said, it's the same day with work. I got to give them 24 hours in advance.
I got you. So when was the next time that you submitted after November 17th of 2022?
November 28th.
Okay. And did you go in on your own, or did a probation officer ask you?
No, went out on my own, sir.
And we've got a few allegations for not conducting yourself properly and orderly with the probation office. Let's talk about the November 17th allegation, November 17th, 2022. So in that case, or in that incident, were you letting Mrs. Cisneros explain what was going on with your probation, or how were you responding to that?
I don't follow the question, sir.
You believe that you were conducting yourself in a proper and orderly manner on November 17th?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe that you were talking over the officer?
No, sir.
And on July 13th, 2022, we got another allegation for failing to conduct yourself in a proper and orderly manner. Do you remember that day, July 13th, 2022?
No, sir.
No?
No.
Do you remember ever being escorted out by security from the probation department?
No, they never escorted me out whatsoever.
And so during your meeting, November 17th, 2022, you were able to talk with Mrs. Harris, right?
On November 17th?
Yeah, 2022.
Via Zoom?
Via Zoom, okay. And you weren't able to provide any kind of proof of employment or address at that time because you didn't have her email?
Yes. And once again, I asked her for her email during that time too.
And she just refused to give it to you?
No, she just said, I'll send it to you, but it never popped up on my email.
Okay, but you were talking right there, so she's just deciding not to give it to you?
No, exactly. She didn't give it to me right off the hand. I gave her mine, and she sent it to my email, so I know it's her, and never replied.
And are you still living at that same address to today, assuming you weren't in custody?
Yes, 1449 Chalmers.
Sorry?
1449 Chalmers.
So Judge Boyd gave you a chance to be on probation, right? Back in July of 2018.
Lopez has failed drug tests, missed appointments, and still thinks he deserves a fourth chance. The real question is this redemption or manipulation?
She gave you a chance to be out in the community and show that you could be a productive member of society, right?
That was states in our agreement to get back on.
Sure, but it's up to her to follow the agreement.
Yes, sir.
So she gave you that chance.
Yes, she did.
And then she gave you a second chance, right, with your first motion to revoke to keep you on community supervision.
Yes, sir, she did.
And she gave you a third chance with your second
Judge for relevance.
Overrule.
Right, she gave you a second chance.
Yes, sir, she did.
Or I'm sorry, a third chance, right, at that point with the second motion to revoke. And so now you're asking her for a fourth chance to complete community supervision?
Yeah, so all of my prior ones were for recovery, and I took advantage of that, and I went ahead and got recovery. As it states on the other one that I had all the 3 months that she sent me on this last one, I completed them successfully, and I still am drug free and don't touch drugs at all.
Well, that's good, because you were talking with your defense attorney about regularly submitting UAs, right? Like you regularly, he brought it up in the direct examination.
Overruled. And everyone, so it's Monday. As I said previously, some people thought they would be retired. We're not retired. So I try to make everyone's job as easy as possible. And the way we do that for the court reporter is one person speaks at a time. If anyone has an objection, please raise your objection after the person has finished their question. I will make a ruling on the objection, and then we can continue. So state, what's your question?
Our question was whether Mr. Lopez remembered talking with his defense attorney about regularly submitting UAs.
Objecting, that's also attorney-client privilege.
All right, that will be sustained.
It was during direct examination, Judge. The defense elicited testimony that he had regularly submitted UAs while he was on.
I don't think,
All right, so here's,
I don't think I said that.
stop. So I'm going to sustain the objection. State, if you want to ask the defendant the question, whether or not he has regularly submitted UAs or has previously stated that he has regularly submitted UAs under questioning from his counsel, I'll allow that.
Okay, Judge. Sorry, I thought that's how I phrased it.
No problem.
Originally. Mr. Lopez, do you remember talking with your defense attorney on direct examination and saying that you regularly submitted UAs while you were on community supervision?
Yes, it was for the time, this past probation of me doing the 3 months of the UA weekly.
Right, and so that's what you're talking about when you're saying that you're drug-free now, right?
Ever since then.
Sure. Because you have been testing positive while you've been on probation, right?
Objection, relevance, not in the motion to revoke.
And Judge, we're not trying to prove that. We're going to the allegation violation number 2.
All right, that will be overruled.
You can answer the question, sir.
For the...
You have tested positive since you've been on probation.
I've been tested positive. Not that I know of. Everything's been coming back that they tell me that it's been negative. If not, then there would have been a warrant put up on my arrest.
Okay, every urinalysis that you've submitted since 2018 has been negative, your knowledge?
No.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why I was talking about recovery. This boy gave me the chances all those other times because I came out dirty, and she told me to find recovery, and that's what I did.
Sure, so you have tested positive since you've been on probation.
Yes.
And you're saying that you're not using drugs now, right?
No, sir.
But unfortunately, the court doesn't really have a way to know that because you failed to submit, right?
No, sir.
Really, June? So in the month of June 2022, you submitted?
No, sir, I didn't. I did have a PO. They told me at the end of May that I had to do no more UAs no more. That was satisfying the judgment that was took care for the last MTR.
But you know that's not true, right? Because you submitted a UA in November. So you knew that you still had to do UAs.
Because Ms. Cisneros had asked me to go submit one when I was at work, and I told her I'll go when I have a day off, and that, or if not, get my company to be able to let me off. And went ahead and did that. I think it was on the 30th or something like that, 29th or 30th.
Okay, so you just had to do it on your schedule, not probation schedule.
No, sir.
No, oh, so you were able to do it on probation schedule. And when she told you,
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
so when you were told to submit on November 17th, you were able to do it on probation schedule?
No, sir. It wasn't a random.
That wasn't my question, though. It was, were you able to do it on probation schedule? When they told you to report and submit a UA, were you able to do that on November 17th, 2005?
Objection, asked and answered.
All right, that'll be overruled.
No, sir.
No, you were not able to submit.
No, sir.
Well, that's my question.
Defense.
All right. Now, regarding, you were asked to do UAs for 3 months weekly up through May. And then you were understood at that point that you did not have to continue to submit.
Objection meeting.
That'll be overruled. You can answer the question.
At that time, Sarah Thatcher, let me know that I was satisfying the judgment of the 3 months, not coming out dirty, and everything that was held in advance, safety and the yearly deal, which would be in wait for July to come up, and I'd have to do more UX.
Okay, and you were never notified to submit on June 30th, 2022?
No.
In fact, you were told the opposite, that you did not have to.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You had previously tested in May, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you also tested in July.
Yes, sir.
And both those times they were negative.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And in October 28th, 2022, you did a drug test, right?
Yes, sir.
And it was negative.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you took off of work on November 17th, as Ms. Cisneros asked you to go submit a drug test, where would you have to drive to do that? How far away from work?
I would say about a mile away. I'd say about a mile away at the RMS. It's the only place that they allow us to do it for probation.
Okay.
And usually they're backlogged up. And if I would go at lunchtime, they'll be working on the people that clocked in at 10 a.m. So it'll give me a 2-hour window that I would have to wait. And that would be past my lunchtime period.
Okay, so it would take at least 2 hours to do a drug test. Is that your common experience?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you miss 2 hours of work, what would bring the next position to?
Terminate.
Okay. You had a deal with work that if probation made.
I think he's got his point across.
All right, that'll be overruled.
But you had worked out a deal with your work that if probation made these demands of you, you could arrange for a time to do it and it'd be okay with work where you wouldn't lose your job.
Yes, sir.
Production confidence.
That'll be sustained.
That was your understanding of the agreement, right?
That's sustained.
Okay. And you were able to complete a drug test on November 30th.
Yes, sir.
And it was your understanding.
This characterized test.
That'll be overruled. That'll be overruled. Everyone, as I tell people, I have a mind that's a steel trap. So I remember everything that everybody has said, and I will make a judgment on the credibility of witnesses.
Okay.
Hey, Ms. Ferguson, who's the interpreter here for?
He did send out the text.
Thank you for coming. As soon as the attorney comes back, we'll take your matter up.
What he does in a fresh amendment.
I guess we're going to object to this point. He isn't testified, he's failed to remember.
Yes, what is he not remembering?
Okay.
And we're off the record for a moment. It is amazing that when we're not on the record and nobody's saying anything, everybody gets quiet. And the minute somebody starts asking questions, that's when everybody starts talking. So, to the people who are approaching the coordinator, when we're on the record, please don't approach and speak with her because it makes it difficult for everyone to hear. All right, we're back on the record. You may proceed.
All right, Judge. I'm going to move on. All right. Now, you testified that you've been drug-free for how long?
I would say close to a year.
Okay. And you've been on probation for how long?
Since 2018.
Okay. So that's for almost 5 years.
Yes, sir.
You were originally on probation for 4 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know when your probation ends?
This one's supposed to be in July.
Okay. So you have about 6 months left on this probation?
Yes, sir.
And you've been working?
Yes, sir.
You've been drug-free?
Yes, sir.
You haven't picked up any new law violations?
No, sir.
Objection has to answer this one.
Sustained.
If judge allows you, do you think you can successfully complete this probation?
Yes, sir, I can.
Pass the witness.
State.
Nothing further to that.
All right, defense, any other witnesses?
Let me see if my other witness is here. If I can make a quick phone call.
Yes. All right, Mr. Lopez, we have you take your seat while your attorney does that. Are we ready to proceed on Mr. Lopez?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, defense, I believe we were still in your case in chief.
You're gonna call your next witness.
All right, call your next witness.
Defense calls, Lisa Ruiz.
All right, Lisa Ruiz. All right, you can lower your hand. I'm gonna need you to make sure you speak up, state your name for the record. All right, defense.
All right, Ms. Ruiz, what is your relationship with Roland Lopez?
He's my boyfriend.
Do you live together?
Yes.
Where do you live?
1449 Chalmers. I'm sorry? 1449 Chalmers. Sorry.
And how long have y'all lived there? A long time?
Yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Lopez's work helps pay for that,
Yes.
and helps pay for, food,
Yes.
clothing,
Yes.
taking care of the pets,
Yes.
and pretty much everything, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, he's been on probation since 2018, is that correct?
Yes.
And have you seen any changes in him since then?
Objection, elements.
All right, that'll be overruled.
Have you seen it?
Why do you lie?
And what does that mean, for your relationship?
If he wasn't, we wouldn't be together.
Have you ever heard him raising his voice in another room, say like during a football game or something like that?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Okay. Do you remember any? 2022.
No.
Do you remember any? Do you remember a Zoom meeting in November of 2022?
Yes.
And same deal. He went to another room to do this.
Yes.
Could you hear him talking
Yes.
because he has a loud voice?
Yes.
Could you hear the other side?
No.
Did you hear any yelling, screaming, cursing, anything of the sort like that?
No.
Okay. Now, Mr. Lopez, he works, does he work regular hours or longer hours?
Mostly long hours.
More than 40 hours a week?
Yes.
Okay. And does he depend on that overtime?
Objection, calls for speculation, lack of personal knowledge.
Do you depend on
Overruled.
that
I'm sorry.
All right, so here's the thing, everyone. When people ask questions and there's an objection, I make a ruling. If people don't want me to make a ruling on objections, then don't object.
Boom. Roasted.
That's where we are. So the objection has been overruled and you can answer the question.
Yes.
Do you depend on that overtime?
Yes.
All right. In November of 2022, did y'all change address?
No.
All right, defense, call your next witness.
This time, defense press.
Yes, we have one rebuttal witness.
All right, call your witness.
The state calls Officer Priscilla Cisneros.
And Judge, I'm gonna object to that. So rebuttal witness, we've already had her chronologicals testified to by Miss Abrams, and at this point she would be rebutting against herself for her own notes in the probation file. And I think that for rebuttal, that's not a valid reason to. The state can't rebut their own witness.
All right, that'll be overruled.
We're not trying to, Judge. We're trying to rebut.
That'll be overruled. Call your next witness.
The state calls Priscilla Cisneros.
All right, Ms. Cisneros. And make sure you keep your voice up so that the court reporter can hear and I can hear. If you'll state your name for the record.
It's Officer Priscilla Cisneros.
All right, state.
Officer, what do you do?
I am a community supervisions officer.
How long, for Bear County?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been with CSCD for Bear County?
4 years.
All right, and during that time, have you had cause to supervise the defendant in this cause, Roman Lopez?
I did. I've supervised him, yes.
When did you begin supervision of Mr. Lopez?
In October of
October.
2022.
Do you know who his probation officer was before you?
It was Officer Sarah Thatcher.
Now, in October of 2022, did you have contact with Mr. Lopez?
Yes, I had contact with him via Zoom.
Okay. And what happened on that Zoom interaction? I'm sorry, what date?
It was October 28th, 2022.
What happened during that Zoom?
I introduced myself. I informed the defendant that his officer no longer works for the department and that I would be taking over the case at the time being. I reviewed his conditions of probation, and
This is where confusion turns into confrontation. The officer says the rules were clear, but Lopez claims no one told him. Classic probation drama. Miscommunication, denial, and now a courtroom showdown.
I attempted to gather information in regards to his residence and employment. Defendant went on to state that he had been transferred.
narrative.
Overruled.
He had been transferred to several different officers while he's been on probation, and that he had some speculations that he didn't agree with, and he wanted to meet with the judge to set a compliance hearing.
Did he clarify about what he didn't agree with?
He was adamant about the extension, stating that he should have been completed with his probation in July of 2022 and was not understanding why he still had to report.
And did you clarify that he was still on probation?
Yes.
Did you ask him for any kind of, well, actually, I'll move on. Did you have contact with him on November 17th of 2022?
Yes, we were scheduled for a Zoom meeting.
And did he appear at that meeting?
Yes.
And I guess on either of those 2 days, did he provide you proof of employment or proof of his current residence?
No, he did not. I did inform him to submit it via email.
And there's an allegation that he was not conducting himself in a proper and orderly manner on that Zoom visit.
Drug test on either that day or the following day. And once again, he became argumentative because he stated that he should not be on probation at this point, as well as I addressed his monies, that he had not made any payment towards his probation fines, which he was currently delinquent. I believe it was like $4,000 some odd dollars. And I instructed him to make a payment, even if it was a minimum of $20, to stay in compliance with his conditions. He stated once again that he wanted to cut me off and stated that he wanted to talk to the judge, and I told him he would have his time in court. However, in the meantime, he needed to comply with all his conditions. He became argumentative, just stating that, I don't understand, that, there's speculations on his case. And I told him I'm not going to entertain the argument. At that point in time, we were on meeting, and I was directing him at that point in time to comply with his conditions, giving him instructions to submit drug tests and pay for his probation fees, as well as provide proof of residence and employment, and at his following meeting, he would be informed.
What kind of reminders are probationers given to provide proof of employment and proof of residency?
Aside from verbal instructions from the probation officer,
Section calls for speculation and lack of personal knowledge. These are not reminders sent by this probation officer.
Overruled.
the defendant is sent a 2-day notice prior to their scheduled appointment.
On what his conditions were so that he could comply with them, and that's why he asked for a compliance hearing.
Yes.
Okay. And he believed that the judge said something different than what you as a probation officer were saying, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so can you understand why he might have been confused and wanted clarification?
No, because I did review the chrono that was submitted in July, stating that the defendant was provided all proof of his convictions, signed, and he had stated to that officer that we are going back to body camera. So he did have proof during that visit on, I believe it was July 13th, from Officer Thatcher.
But he was confused on that date as well.
I was not there for that visit.
Okay. So you don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
So what was your question?
Was there a field visit attempted on 9/16?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the next page. You see 9/16 on that page?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm asking you again, was there a field visit conducted on September 16, 2021?
There was a field visit attempted, yes.
Where does it say that on there?
Not on here.
Okay. Every time there's a field visit, it does go in the chronologicals, is that correct? So if it wasn't here, it means it didn't happen, right? So you agree with me that there's...
I didn't hear it. I can't hear you.
All right, here's the thing. Sorry to interrupt. Everybody, please keep your voices up. So here's the question. One of the allegations in this motion to revoke is that there was a field visit attempted on or about September 16, 2021. So did somebody from probation go out to his residence on September 16, 2021 to try to visit? That's either yes or no.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay.
That was easy.
But if it was in the...
Now you can ask it.
Are you sure that there was a field...
Our officers went out to the address on the 16th.
Okay. As referenced in the chronologicals, correct?
Right. States right there,
Where?
September 16th.
Which is referenced. But there was one on September 14th, 2 days before.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so here's the court's question. And please, everyone, listen to my question and just answer that question. In this motion to revoke, the allegations are that somebody from probation went to his house on or about the 16th of September 2021 and attempt a field visit. Did that happen or did that not happen? Did anybody from probation go out to his home on or about September 16th, 2021 to attempt a field visit?
No, Your Honor. I apologize.
All right, is there anything else of this witness?
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Pass witness, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, so any other witnesses from either side? All right, number 2 is true, number 2 is true, number 2 is true, number 4 is not true, number 5 is not true, number 5 is not true, 9A is not true, number 22 is true, number 52 is not true. So,
Okay.
Mr. Lopez, here's the thing. You have a choice. I can continue on probation, but you're doing ISF, or either I will revoke you and give you 2 years. So if you want to discuss that with your attorney, you can. Those are your 2 options.
Yes, ma'am, I'll continue with probation.
Let's confirm first. Yes. And Judge, I do need to bring up some administrative matters. Can you have a seat?
Sure.
Okay. Judge, I filed a motion. I need a ruling on my motion to quash allegation 22.
The final verdict, set for 2 years behind bars. No middle ground, no more excuses. Would you gamble on another chance? Or take the time? Let us know. What would you do in Lopez's place?
Findings of facts and conclusions of law.
All right.
I can follow up with another request in writing.
Sure, you can follow that up in writing, but your client needs to make a decision and you have 10 minutes to make that decision. Either you're going to be continued and you're doing ISF, or either you're getting 2 years. Those are your options.
And Judge, I do, you, stated-
2 and 2 are true.
On the second 2, Judge, there was no testimony whatsoever.
2 and 2 are true. 4 is not true. 5 is not true. 5 is not true. 9A is not true. 22 is true. And 52 is not true. All right. So Jose Gallegos.
I have to ask for a direct verdict on condition number 2, because there really was no testimony regarding a diluted sample.
All right, so your client has two choices.
I agree.
Either he's going to ISF or either he's getting 2 years. I'm giving him till 12/10 to make that decision.
Just need to make sure I get my ruling.
Sure. I've already given you my ruling and I've told you what is true.
Okay, so you're
All right,
denying
thank
my directed verdict?